Привет, shalom, and salut to le monde. Welcome to the Balkans. See, I thought I'd make this video just to give you guys an update. I haven't really been making videos lately. I've got a couple. I plan to have everything uploaded before Christmas. I just thought I'd make this video, number one, to thank everyone who donated in the past 3-4 months. Really, you guys saved my life. You have no idea. I'm just gonna update you guys on, I guess, talk about a few things. I just stopped uploading in October. Uncle Alfred Schaefer, got arrested again. We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about a murder that happened in my hometown when I was a kid, and we're going to kind of connect that to Holocaust denial, right? Because ironically, this murder has to do with the burnt body, but that's actually not really the point. It's just ironic. I'm going to just update you guys on what's going on in the Balkans, maybe give you a Balkan history lesson. So what happened was in October, Uncle Alfred, me and Alfred started streaming again. We just started. Me and Alfred were streaming partners back in 2018, back when I had my first channel. Or 2017 maybe we started, 2018, I don't remember. Anyways, and then there was the purges. No, it was probably 2018, yeah. And then mid 2018, we were doing streams with Dennis Wise from The Greatest Story Never Told. We were also with Jim Rizzoli. There's a bunch of us. Then there was this just purge, right? And then Alfred got arrested. His sister was arrested previously, the previous year, for Holocaust denial in Germany. And it's like, okay, look, this is the point I'm going to try to make here. The point I want to make is, look, it's not about whether the Holocaust happened or not. And we all need to agree on this. It doesn't matter if you're a Holocaust believer or if you're a Holocaust denier. What's wrong is to arrest people who disagree. Okay? It's wrong to legislate history and legislate something as if it's a matter of fact and then arrest anyone who disagrees with you. And that's where I'm going to connect this murder case. An innocent man went to jail for 22 years for a murder he never committed. He never committed it, and there was never a shred, a single piece of evidence to connect him to the murder. And that's what I'm going to ask you guys to do. I'm going to ask you guys to put yourself in this man's shoes. Put yourself in his shoes, and imagine you were arrested for a murder you didn't commit, and you were thrown in jail, prison for 22 years, and they didn't have a single piece of evidence to tie you to the case. I just want you to imagine you're that person, because that's what we're going to talk about. And unless you have the freedom to question, the freedom to investigate, there's no law saying you can't deny this, because this is serious. What if you have the wrong killer? What if the Germans actually didn't kill those people? And we can argue about how many people, obviously, the official story doesn't make sense. Even Auschwitz themselves dropped the number by 2.5 million people disappeared from the official count. The official count removed 2.5 million people overnight. In one day, they went, oh, you know what? You're right. We don't have the numbers right. Let's remove 2.5 million people. Who's to say that remaining 1.5 million is accurate, right? 4 million people died at Auschwitz, right? But they removed 2.5 million. Oh, we miscounted. You miscounted? 2.5 million extra? Anyways, we'll talk about that, right? Let me just get the Balkan stuff over with first. So where I am, let me just explain to you guys why I kind of why I stopped kind of making videos. And sorry, the mornings here are kind of like a scene from a horror movie. Unfortunately, I don't like to admit it, but it's true. I do. I suffer from pretty bad PTSD, and not necessarily from, videos. Oh, here comes my third dog. I suffer from PTSD just from actually my pre-Christian life, from between 20. Oh, hi, Sirius. Good morning. This dog isn't really mine, but he waits for me every morning, and I take care of him. The white dog's mine, the black and white one, if you guys remember him from my other videos. I got him in Ukraine, Moldova. And then this Labrador, I found on the street here. When I found her head, I'll play a video for you guys. Her head was cracked open. Someone had beaten the crap out of her. Like, her eyes were bruised, and obviously she was bleeding from her eyes. Her head was completely cracked open. She didn't know where she was. She couldn't even walk straight. And I had to carry her. Man, that Labrador weighed a ton. I had to carry her all the way to the vet because she just couldn't. She could walk a little bit at the start, and then she just didn't know where she was. Her head was just gone. And now she's fine. It's been a year now, and she's, I guess, made a full recovery. But, so, anyways, these are my dogs, and this one here, Sirius, he just waits for me. He knows he's going to get food. And unfortunately, he's really violent. My dog is really aggressive too. But Sirius attacks people all the time. He's scared of me. He's very submissive with me, but he attacks cyclists and joggers, and it's really bad. And then I get yelled at, and it's just like, it's a wild dog I take care of. Come on. Anyways, so yeah, my PTSD. I got bad PTSD, and then it's like anyone who suffers from that, like trauma, and I don't like to admit it, but mine is pretty bad. And I lived through some stuff I don't like to talk about. And sometimes it gets triggered, right? And I just kind of had a breakdown. I don't want to bitch too much. I know everybody's everyone's going through something right now. I know life is terrible. We don't have bombs dropping on us. There's no food shortages yet. I mean, life isn't that bad. It could be 1,000 times worse. And it's probably going to get 1,000 times worse, not to be a jerk. So anyways, so I just kind of had an episode when Alfred got arrested. It kind of triggered. I went back to 2018, back when I was in Montreal, and, our YouTube channels were erased. I also had a guy in my nationalist group who wrote for the Daily Stormer, Zyger. He got arrested. And I kind of get it. Look, guys, we have to be really smart when we talk about race and when we talk about Germany and World War II and communism. We have to be really careful. And anyway, so just the Antifa raids, I'm tired, I've been running around Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Moldova, and then I had to go through Romania, and now I'm in the Balkans. I'm in Serbia, and I live on the Croatian and Bosnian Serbian border. I live where all three of them meet, and that's probably not the smartest place. And this place is it's full of a lot of Bosnian refugees, but okay, Serbian Bosnians. So if you know the history, the Yugoslavian wars were here. in the 90s and into the early 2000s. And in October, not only did Alfred get arrested, but I've got my own immigration problems. Okay, I still don't have my papers here. They're submitted and I'm waiting, but I've been having to do Bosnian runs. Go to Bosnia every 3 months, come back, go to Bosnia, come back, and it's exhausting. I'm exhausted. And I just want a home. I just want to relax. I would like to just have a place I know I can sit, chill, and work from. And there's very few countries, right? Every year it gets smaller and smaller where, things I believe in, I can say publicly. In Canada, there's a guy named Son of Enos. He just got arrested a couple months back. And what was his crime? He played a video of a Jewish rabbi talking about exterminating the white race and the Western world. So Jews who are apparently, against genocide because of the Holocaust, they're openly talking about exterminating people. Germany must perish. And then he goes to jail. Son of Enos goes to jail for playing a video exposing our Jewish rabbi who's trying to, openly talking about committing genocide in the Western world. So imagine you go to jail because you point out, hey, this guy's a psychopath. Well, that's what happened to him, and that's the reality of Canada. Canada is an occupied country. Canada is a frightening, evil, evil country that needs to be conquered, right? The people, but this is God's wrath and this is God's punishment. I'm fully, I'm doing a video on this. We're going to go through Deuteronomy 28. It's one of the videos we're going to upload. And we're going to go through this. This is divine justice. This is divine punishment for us being disobedient little shits and betraying God. It's that simple. Bella. And so, where was I going? So Canada is just not a nice country. We're going to talk about this murder charge, this murder, where the federal police and the courts are very much involved with. But anyway, so here in the Balkans, in October, I had 3 events. So while I'm waiting for my papers to stay here, and I'm going to say this about Serbs. Balkan people, whether they're Serbs, Croatians, or Bosnians, Bosniaks, whatever, Montenegrins, they are very hospitable people. They are very welcoming. Bella! They're the most welcoming people. I've never had friends. My second day here, I met friends, I met people, and we're still really close today. If I need to go somewhere for the holidays, if I need anything at all, I just go to these people. They'll help me. But I'll say this about Serbs. As hard as they love is as hard as they hate. And as a guy walking around with an American accent, you see, NATO destroyed Serbia. Destroyed Serbia's, the Yugoslavian army, destroyed Yugoslavia. And the bulk of Yugoslavia was Serbia. And what happened was, when Tito died, the great communist leader of Yugoslavia, there was a vacuum that couldn't be filled. And what happened was, it was quite amazing. The Balkans saw peace, and all these countries were united, right? Yugoslavia means southern Slavs, really. So it's the land of southern Slavs. And somehow, under Yugoslavia, they managed to unite Christians, Muslims, Orthodox, and there was peace here. And no one cared about religion or nationality or any of this stuff. And then when Tito died, there was this explosion. Everyone was nationalist. Slovenia separated. And Croatia. Now you got the Croatian-Serbian war. They're fighting now. The Serbs are trying to right? And the people are all mixed. There's Croatians living here, and it's just like Croatians are Catholic, Serbians are Orthodox, and Bosniaks are Muslim. Anyways, and so after Yugoslavia divided, you now have this civil war, and NATO, like, man, the UN and NATO, you just have no idea like what these people are planning. They prevented like arms from getting in the country, so the Yugoslavian army just started like trying to retake their lands back, and it was predominantly Serbs. And then it's just, Bosnia wants to be its own country. Croatia became its own country. Slovenia, everyone just started separating, right? And then Kosovo, and you just have the Balkan Wars, and everyone committed genocide. Everyone is guilty. Everyone is innocent. It's war, okay? There were bad Bosnians, there were bad Serbians, there were bad Croatians, and there were good ones, and that's just it. And Balkans is a very sad place. It's a very sad history here. Okay, lots of occupation, lots of war. It's a crossroads, right? They spent hundreds of years under Ottoman rule. Their children were being abducted, sent into the Ottoman Muslim army. Their girls were being abducted, sent into sex slavery. I mean, it wasn't good. And then the German Austrians come in, the Austro-Hungarians come in, and then it's like the Serbs are just sick and tired of being under occupation by someone. Then the Germans came in, World War II, and that's another terrible story. And this is a good time to also reflect, that the Germans aren't perfect. Uncle A, the Fuhrer, wasn't perfect. And while I defend a lot, what happened here was actually quite terrible when the Germans came in. Now, it's also Serbia's fault. It's everyone. Again, it's war. It's everyone's fault and no one's fault. And I don't know. And so what happened here was the communists, you had a three-way civil war breakout here, really. And that is, hang on. So you pretty much had a three-way civil war during the time in World War II here. You had there was a monarchy, and the monarchy originally sided with Hitler. And the Germans just wanted safe travel. Let us come through here. We need, we're fighting this, the greatest war machine, the greatest killing machine in world history, Red Terror, Soviet Union, Jewish Bolshevism. We got to go kill, defeat this terror that's killed more Europeans in all of human history. We got to go stop them. But we also need to go and secure Greece. So we just need to come through here. And the king allowed it, and Hitler recognized their independence. And within a few days, that week, there was a coup, and funded by Britain. And oh man, I'm so sick and tired. I'm sorry, Britain. The British Empire deserves everything it's getting. And so Britain is now meddling here, financed revolution, overthrew the king, and the Germans now have a civil war here. They were allowed to come through, they were coming through, and now thanks to England, working also with the communists, this is where Tito's going to come in, the great leader of Yugoslavia, and the partisans. And the communist partisans were guerrilla war fighters fighting illegal warfare, right? The rules of war, if you're going to fight in war, you put on a uniform and you wear a flag. You're not allowed to dress like a civilian, arm little boys with guns, arm children, dress like civilians, and attack from behind like cowards. You're not allowed to do that. Okay? And the Germans said anyone who does that, breaks the rules of war, for every German you kill like that, we are going to kill 100 of your people. That was the law here, and I think it was a mistake. Right next to me, up in the mountains here, there's actually a village, and everyone in that village, it's gone now. It's just the remains. But the Germans, about 20 minutes from here, put everyone in. I don't know if it was the Germans. There was can't say they were Germans. They were something called the Ustaše, and the Ustaše were Croatian Catholics who the Germans put in charge of this region. And these Croatians, who obviously have a hatred for the Orthodox, were very, very violent here. And they took, every time the Serbs, the partisans, or the Chetniks were another group, they were loyal to the monarchy. Anyone who attacked a German would be, so for every dead German, they would kill 100 people. And the Ustaše burnt an entire village, put everyone in the church and lit it on fire. And that's right next to me. It's like 20 minutes from here. And that happened. And then what happened was the communist Tito took advantage of this German law. This is where it's really stupid, actually, because Tito would then take his communist partisans from the mountains and attack a village and kill a whole bunch of Germans. And now the village was in trouble because the communists came into that village, killed all the Germans there. Who's going to pay for the dead Germans? The village will. The villagers are now in a bad situation because all the Germans who were in that town are now dead. And the Germans have a law that says if you kill a German, 100 of you have to die. If you wound one, 50 of you die. And so the people were now forced, after the communists would come and take a village, kill everyone in there. It's not to say the villagers wanted that, but now the villagers had no choice but to join the communist side. Otherwise, the Ustaše will come and burn down your village with everyone in it. And now everyone was joining the partisans because of the partisans' liberation tactics. And so the communists ended up becoming victorious here. Anyways, so stupid German policy that ended up converting the whole nation. The communists used it to their advantage and pretty much converted the whole nation to communism. And that's how Tito won the war. And then when he died, it just became a civil war here. This was the biggest conflict after World War II, right? 100,000 people or more died. And I live not far from all the... Anyways, and my point is, all the people who live in my town, majority of them, at least 50, 60%, are refugees from the Bosnian War. They're the Serbs who had to leave. They had to leave Bosnia. They had to leave their homes and move here and flee from NATO bombing, NATO armies. And so I get blamed for that, right? I was in a cafe, and the owner of the cafe heard my accent, heard I was, American, Canadian, doesn't matter. And it's like, well, at first it was violent, like it was like escalated. It could have, like, I'm not sure what direction this is going to go. And my friend's like, oh, we need to get out of here right now. And I'm like, no. And I walked right up to the guy. It was the owner of the cafe bar. And I'm like, I actually start speaking to him in Russian. And because while I'm half, French, Irish, Canadian, my father is Russian, Ukrainian, Jew. So I'm still half Slavic in a sense. And, well, it didn't matter. In fact, actually speaking Russian to him made him more confused. And they have naturally thought I was a spy, wondering what I'm doing in their town. I'm a spy everywhere I go. Get used to that. If you're a Westerner living in a poorer country in Eastern Europe, you're a spy. You're 100% spy, and just get used to it. And so, and eventually I talked to the guy and he calmed him down, but he still looked at me and said, "I'm sorry, you're a spy and you're not welcome in my establishment. I'm going to ask you to leave until I figure out who you are." And that was it. Okay. Then I had an event not far from here along the water, and I ran into a guy, and we had a problem, but then he can see I was American, or from North America, and he got violent. And if I didn't have these dogs with me, especially Sirius, the black one, I don't know what would have happened. Actually, that guy was angry, and it was the dogs that made him, when he was walking towards me and then Sirius went off on him, he walked away. All right. Then I was in a bar. This is all happening. This is pretty much all happening in the same month, okay? And then I'm in another bar, cafe. They're called kafanas. They're cafes/bars. I'm there, and a guy, as he's leaving the bar, he just throws a candy at the back of my head, or like the side of my head. And I look at him, and he says something in Serbian. I have no idea what he said. I got a few words, and then my friend looks at me and he translated it. And it's so bad, I'm not even going to translate it for you. Slavs, when they swear, it's special. Okay, Russian and Serbian swear words are like the worst. They destroy any swear words we have in the West. All right, so, and then I was at another cafe having a coffee with a friend, and a guy walks in and starts yelling at my friend and says, "Why are you having coffee with this, piece of garbage traitor?" I don't even know who this guy is. This guy's just calling me a piece of shit traitor because I'm American in his eyes. Oh man, so it's like, on one hand, I can say Serbs are the nicest, kindest people you'll ever meet, and I'm going to tell you that it can get scary really fast here if you meet the wrong guy. Okay? And so all this is kind of happening while I'm waiting for my papers, doing these Bosnian runs. Every 3 months, I got to go to Bosnia, come back, got to go to Bosnia, come back. And Alfred's getting arrested. And I just want to sit down somewhere and make videos and write books. And I've got books written, and I can't publish them because I don't have a legal address, right? And it's just, everything's getting frustrating. I'm just becoming more and more frustrated, and I'm more focused on surviving than I am. It's just, you have a burnout. And then Alfred gets arrested, and it's for Holocaust denial. It's for asking questions, right? And I'm just burnt out. And my opponents, the guys I fight with on the internet, they're all funded. They all can just sit in the comfort of their home. I think most of them are all in the United States. They're protected by the Constitution. They have freedom of speech. I don't. That's why I had to leave Canada. We do not have freedom. I'm going to tell you guys, when we get into this murder, I'm going to tell you guys just how frightening Canada is and the legal system is. People have no idea how dangerous Canada is, how feudal and evil this country is. Oh man, so yeah, it's mental illness, what we're dealing with. And when we come back to like the Holocaust and Holocaust denial, Holocaust revision, or Holocaust belief, if you believe the Holocaust happened, that's okay. But you need to advocate for us who don't. Okay, we don't believe the official story. But what's not okay is for you guys to have the law on your side to throw us in prison because we don't agree and we want to investigate what happened. Imagine, and that's what we're coming to now, the murder. A guy I know went to prison for 22 years for a murder he never committed, no evidence tying him to the murder, and all based on the real killer's testimony. The real killer walked away. And the only reason the guy went to prison was because the killer said he did it. Not one piece of evidence tied him to the murder. Imagine that was you. Imagine you get thrown in prison. Sorry, you get thrown in prison, for a murder you didn't commit, and then anyone who tries to come and defend you is thrown in prison with you. And there is no evidence to tie you to the murder. That's what's happening with the Holocaust. And that's what every man, woman, and child in the world needs to be in agreement with. You should be allowed to investigate an event or a crime, because what if you have the wrong killer? And that's all we're saying. We're not saying genocide is good. We're not saying mass killing people because of their ethnicity is good. We're not saying that. We're saying, what if you have the wrong killer? What if the Germans didn't kill those people? What if the Allies killed them? What if the Americans, the British, and the Soviets killed them? And let's look at some examples. Let's look at the Katyn massacre that happened in Poland. For decades, the Germans were blamed for the massacre at Katyn. Tens of thousands of the Polish elites were all brought to the Katyn forest. All the doctors, the lawyers, the politicians, professors were all brought to the Katyn forest and all massacred, killed, murdered. And guess who was blamed for it? Germany. Hitler. And in 1991, when the archives were opened, Soviet Union fell, the truth came out. And wouldn't you know it, the Soviets admitted that they were the killers. They massacred all those people, but the Germans for decades took the blame. What about Hitler and Plan Ost? He's trying to conquer and genocide all the Slavic people. Not a shred of evidence to prove it. Well, didn't he starve all the Slavs in Eastern Europe? Yeah, that's what they say. But I mean, Stalin admitted he burned all the food. It's called scorched earth, right? The Soviets are famous. They laugh and brag. Ha ha ha! We defeated the Germans by burning everything. We burned all the food. We burned all the building. We scorched earthed them. A tactic they learned from the Ottomans during the Crimean campaigns. So yeah, how could the Germans have starved everybody if the Soviets admit they burned all the food? It's called hunger plan hunger, whatever. And it's like, guys, come on. Which one is it? You can't brag about burning everything and defeating the Germans by burning all your own supplies, burning all your own farms, starving all your own people, and then say, well, Hitler did it. It's schizophrenic. So we have a problem. And unless we're allowed to investigate that problem, right? You can't throw us in jail. You might be wrong. You were wrong about Katyn. You were wrong about Hunger Plan. Maybe you're wrong about something else. And again, 2.5 million people dropped off the death toll overnight after the Soviet Union fell, after communism fell, and we were allowed to go and investigate ourselves. So, this murder that happened, now this is kind of hard for me to talk about, to be honest. It's very personal. So when I was a little boy, maybe 10 or 11, 1996, summer of 1996, I moved to a town called Oshawa. And Oshawa is just outside of Toronto. It's part of the GTA, not Grand Theft Auto, the Greater Toronto Area. Bella, davai. And the year before I moved there, there was a murder down the street from me, about less than 2 kilometers, maybe 1.5 kilometers. And I lived on the edge of the city. It's a suburb of Toronto, and north of me, north of me, if you went so this farm was 1.5 kilometers north of me, but from that point on, if you go north, it's just farms for the rest of Canada, pretty much. You might hit the odd small town, but I mean, north of me is just farms. So 1.5 kilometers north of me, there's a farm, a silo, and the year before, a man was murdered there, and his body was burned in the silo. Okay, and so I'm the new kid, and the kids on the block we'd ride our bikes down there. We'd stop in front of the silo. We'd look at it. It was like this thing, right? It was like, first time I'm actually dealing with and experiencing like a murdered guy, and I can go see the silo where he was killed, right? And I didn't think whatever. So you're kind of haunted by the story. You guys invent urban legends and horror stories and whatnot. Well, whatever. You're just dumb kids. But then, 7-8 years later, when I was like 17, 18, I'm now working not for the murderer, but for the murderer's little brother. Okay? And so now I'm going to learn what happened. And the irony in this case is there's going to be, you have two brothers, a younger brother and an older brother, and they're drug dealers. And when I met them, they owned gyms, they were coaches, they were bodybuilders and stuff like that. The one guy is a world famous swim coach. The murderer is a world famous swim coach. The younger brother owned fitness clubs, fitness centers, really to launder drug money. They were laundering on. Now, I didn't know any of this when I was working there. I learned all this as I worked there. And they didn't hide the murder. They talked about it openly. Okay? And I didn't know that there was some other guy in prison doing a 22-year sentence, right? I didn't know that. But I know, anyways, I don't know if I need to get too much into the case, but pretty much they never hid that the younger brother helped burn the body. One of the days, there was like a 3-day period. Okay, so I guess maybe I should just tell you what happened. So, look at this. This is where actually the gypsies come and dump all their garbage. So these guys were all drug dealers. They were importing drugs from Europe, from Spain and Amsterdam. They were bringing Moroccan hash into Spain, and then they were putting it into car parts and shipping it to Canada. And then they were doing the same with growth hormone and steroids, and then ecstasy as well. Ecstasy was starting to become really big, 90s. And they were importing ecstasy from Amsterdam through kitchen cabinets and construction materials and car parts. All right, and what happened was one of their partners, so they'd be mailing this stuff, and this is pre-9/11, right? So the security wasn't it's not like what we're used to. Like even me, I was 16 when 9/11 happened, so I never traveled. So I didn't know what security was like. I only know traveling under 9/11, restrictions. So back then, apparently, it was much easier. Sorry, there's a wild pack of dogs that live here, like 10, and my Labrador is not the brightest dog. Bella. So anyways, the packages would be sent from Europe. They'd come into Canada, and then one package arrived, about $100,000 worth of hash. The guy who received it said that it must have got stopped at customs, right? He claims that it never arrived to the address, but it did. And they heard through their other sources that the hash had made its way on the street, and they found out that their partner just stole $100,000 worth of hash. And so the elder brother of the crew lured this guy to his property that was next to my house. I don't live there yet, right? This is the year before I moved. Lured the guy there, promised him all this stuff, and so let's just say the guy who's going to be murdered, his name's Gerald, and then there's Cecil, and then there's Leo. So Cecil lures Gerald, okay, to the property. Gerald is the guy who stole all the hash. And Leo, the guy who's going to go to prison for all this when he didn't do it, is warning Gerald, do not go there. He's pissed at you. Do not go there. Well, no, he gives him an offer he just couldn't refuse. So he goes, and then the next day or later that day, I'm not sure, Leo goes to the same property. I think it was the next day. And he sees the truck. He sees Gerald's truck. And he's like, uh-oh. Didn't listen to me. Told him not to go. He came. Anyways, Leo goes into the back. And then Leo sees Gerald on the ground in a back room. And he asks, Cecil, hey, is Gerald dead? And then Cecil picks up a barbell, a smaller one though, like for a teenager. And he brought it down and smashed the guy's skull open. And then he looks at Leo and he's like, well, if he wasn't dead, he is now. And so now Leo, this guy, he's in trouble. He showed up, wrong place, wrong time, warned the guy not to go there. And now there's a dead body. And they're all in the same drug ring. And oh no, there's wild dogs here. And so no, my dogs are gonna go fight. No, we're not going to fight them. Hang on. Yeah, sorry, we're being attacked by... There's a pack of wild dogs that live at the gas station over here. But I really like this place because it's just me and a couple guys that come here. But anyways, so yeah, what happened was, they killed this guy, and this poor, and Leo's involved now, and this guy's not a murderer. He's a drug dealer. He's guilty of dealing drugs, of dealing steroids and dealing hash, and I don't know. I think that's all. I don't know exactly. I know that the two brothers became really serious drug dealers. They were dealing Breaking Bad stuff. You know what I mean? But the thing is this. What no one knows about this case, like if you try to find stuff on this case, you're not going to find a lot on it. Almost everything so this led to a big drug bust. Now I have all the articles because I kept them. It's very personal to me. But they've been scrubbed off the internet. And the reason they've been scrubbed off the internet, and the reason why Leo is screwed, he'll never see justice. It's because the brothers work for the federal police. The younger brother, especially, is an informant. He works as some kind of drug consultant. He is a professional rat for the RCMP. The RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, They are the Canadian FBI, but they are far more frightening to Canadians than the FBI. Okay, I'm going to explain to you the difference between America and Canada. Okay, so in Canada, we have something called the Crown, and the Crown is two things. The Crown represents the British royal family. Okay, so right now the King of England, or the King of Britain, I should say, King Charles III, he is technically the sovereign of Canada. He owns Canada in a sense through something called a Crown Corporation. The Crown Corporation, the Crown, is a sole corporation, S-O-L-E, sole corporation, and it is the sovereign of Canada. Okay, so they operate through this corporation called, it's the Corporation of Canada, I guess. And it is sovereign. And Canadians, the Canadian citizens, are subjects to the sovereign. Now, in the United States, it doesn't work like that. In the United States, you have something called the Constitution. The Constitution is probably it's the greatest piece of paper in the world. There's never been a government in all of history as beautiful as the Constitution. Now, is it perfect? Absolutely not. It is not perfect, and especially the way it's being interpreted today. But there is no government system in the world as beautiful and amazing as the Constitution, a government document that begins with "we the people." Now, what that means is we the people, okay, we the people, meaning the people are the sovereign. The people are all co-sovereign in the United States, meaning you are the boss and the government serves you, the people, which is also why the Constitution tells you, the people, to make sure that you are armed, not just for foreign threats, but domestic threats. If your government ever becomes tyrannical, you, the people, must be armed to fight the tyrannical government that is now going to be used to oppress you. That is amazing. In the rest of the world, we don't have that. We have the governments are actively trying to disarm us because their corruption is so bad, they fear an armed population, an armed citizenry. And you also have, like the Constitution is about establishing laws and rules so that the average person has the right to pursue prosperity, happiness, peace, to be armed. But the problem with the Constitution is it doesn't have laws on banking, on finance. That's the only thing I would add. And it's not being interpreted properly, obviously, today. The Constitution was designed for the posterity, for the children of the founders, the people, true Americans. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, in the United States, the people are sovereign. In Canada, the Crown is sovereign. And the people are subject to the Crown, and the Crown is the government. The Crown is the police. The Crown is the courts. The Crown is the government. And we are subject to it, okay? So, so in America, in the United States, if the government hurts you or the police hurt you, you can sue them for tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, up to millions of dollars if you have a case. You cannot do that in Canada. If the police wrong you in Canada, it's very difficult, especially if it's the federal police, the RCMP. So the reason why this guy, 22 years in prison for a crime he never did, and what nobody knows is the murderers are Crown agents. They work for the Crown. They're drug dealers for the Crown. Okay? And so in this case, so imagine this guy went on trial. I just want you guys to imagine you're this guy. So this guy is on trial. Even the jury was like, you know, there's no evidence to convict him. There's no proof he murdered the guy. Like, what you're saying is he murdered the guy in Sudbury, Ontario. The killer then put the body in his truck, drove his truck all the way to Oshawa, like 400 or 500 kilometers, and then burned the body in Oshawa at his friend's silo. There's no DNA in the car, in the truck. There's no murder weapon. There's no DNA on any of his... There is nothing to tie this guy. Chance. There's nothing to tie him to the murder. Okay? Nothing at all. In fact, there's way more evidence to suggest the other guy, the guy who owns the property, is the real murderer. The next thing is the way the body was burned. The problem here is the guy who went to prison for this murder, Leo, he's a licensed mortician. He used to burn bodies for a living. He burned bodies for a living. So the way these bozos, the two brothers, burnt the body in the silo, no licensed mortician, no guy who burns bodies for a living would ever burn a body the way they did. They just threw the body in a silo, threw it on some wood, lit the wood on fire, and thought, oh, this will work. And they tried for like 2 or 3 days or something, right? And it was during this time, so Leo left. He did move the guy's truck. He drove the truck to a big shopping mall. I don't know if it was York Mills or Vaughan Mills, one of these big shopping malls off the highway in Toronto, and went home. Okay. He might have like helped a little bit moving the body, so he could charge him for drug dealing. You could charge him with tampering with evidence, not reporting a crime, moving a dead body. You can charge him with stuff, but you can't charge him with first-degree murder, which he got charged with. Okay, and so no evidence tying him to the actual murder. Okay, and so the jury said that. The jury said we cannot charge him with murder. The judge came out. The courts, right, are run by the crown, right? The sovereign. The sovereigns run the court. It's not like in America, you the people, you're the sovereigns. No, the sovereign is the courts in Canada. They are the government, and we are its subjects. We are its slaves. Okay? And said to the jury, nope, this is not acceptable. You go back inside. He gave a big speech, was angry at the jury. The jury then goes back into the room. They come out and vote unanimously guilty based on the judge's speech. Now Leo is thrown in prison for 22 years. And guess what happened to Leo's lawyer? I want you to imagine this. Your lawyer just lost an easy case. No evidence tying your client to the crime. Way more proof that the owner of the property is the killer. And your lawyer who lost gets hired by the crown, the sovereign, the courts. He now becomes a crown attorney. He loses the trial. His client lost. His client's going to prison for 22 years. And now the crown goes, hey, we just beat you. You had an easy case to win against us. Do you want to work for us? So the guy's lawyer joins the crown. The crown tells the jury, hey, you need to convict this guy. No evidence, but you got to convict him. The guy goes to prison for 22 years. His own lawyer is now working for the enemy. And what people don't know is the brothers made a deal with the courts, with the crown, with the federal police. And the brother is an informant. And for the next 10, 15 years, those brothers were filling the streets of Canada with crystal meth. And all under crown protection. And that's not illegal. It's not illegal. The crown is fully allowed They're the sovereign. They can't be charged. Don't you guys know the expression? Don't you know the expression? The king, what's the proverb? The English proverb of law. The king can do no wrong. The king can do no wrong. The king can't be charged. Your job as a citizen, as a subject, is to protect your sovereign at all costs. And our sovereign is the FBI of Canada. They're not breaking the law when they deal drugs. They can do whatever the hell they want. They are the sovereign. Okay? If they wrong you, do you know how you sue the government in Canada? Because you're suing the crown? You have to ask their permission. Hey, I think you wronged me. We have a whole act, what is it, the Crown Liabilities Act? You got to go and beg your master and say, hey, master, you hurt me. Can I sue you? Can you give me something for what you did wrong to me? They can do anything they want. So understand that. Canada has no army. The crown has an army. The people don't. Canada does not have a police force. We don't. The people don't. The crown does. The sovereign does. Military, police, every rifle and gun in that country is owned by the sovereign, not the people. So it's a very frightening system. So this guy gets thrown in prison, 22 years, murder he never committed. And the reason is the crown, the sovereign, has to protect themselves and has to protect their agent. Their agent being the younger brother in this murder case and the brother. They didn't serve a day in jail. Maybe they were interrogated one day. And I don't know. There's a couple things I don't know. I don't know if the brother was already an informant before this case or if he became one because of this case. But I know he's an informant. And there's nothing you can do about it. Understand that. The reason I'm talking about this is because I know the guy's innocent. He knows he's innocent. The two brothers know he's innocent. The police know he's innocent. The courts know he's innocent. The jury knows he's innocent. Everyone knows the guy is innocent. But he's guilty because they said so, based on testimony, not evidence. And I just want you guys to put yourself in that situation. The guy is guilty of dealing drugs. And then he was lured to a murder site. And now he's in trouble because his drug dealing partner killed a guy he wanted nothing to do with that. He didn't plan to kill the guy. And now he's in a terrible situation because of the other laws he's breaking, dealing drugs, importing drugs, and all that stuff. He feels compelled to help his stupid partner. And then his partner threw him under the bus, framed him for a crime he didn't do. And then that brother, that guy, Cecil, went to America, got caught dealing drugs in America, in the U.S., flipped on his whole crew there, after they got caught, ratted everyone out there, did 5 years in a U.S. prison because he ratted out his whole crew, gave up the whole operation. This guy was he was like an Olympic swim coach. Oh, man. And I used to work for these guys. I used to work for them. It's how I know the case so much. They told me the story. They didn't hide it. They were fearless. It's not just me. They told like 100 other guys. They didn't hide this because they were under crown protection. In fact, in one of the gyms that this guy owned, there was a martial arts studio, and the owner of the martial arts studio was an RCMP agent who was head of the biker task force. And you got these drug dealers working with federal agents. And guys, this is the reality of the situation. Our streets are filled with drugs. Filled. So the courts and the police, there's only two options for them. There's just two. And the two options are this. Either the police are incompetent, the courts are incompetent, negligent, morons who cannot do their job when you look at the state of our country. That's it. They either can't do their job or they are the drug dealers. Which one do you think it is? Do you really think, like, I know for sure the drugs are coming in through the government, through their crown agents. I know 100%. But it's the people that need to wake up to this. If you are a border guard and a guy comes up to you with $1 million in a bag, it's going to take you 10, 12 years to make that money, maybe 15 after taxes. And in one night, you just got to turn your head. When you see that truck come through, you turn your head and this bag is yours. Are you going to say no? 99% of people are not going to say no. But I'm going to tell you guys something why you have to say no. Look at the state of our countries right now. That $1 million is not worth it. If you do not have a safe and secure, drug-free country for your children to grow up in, those drugs, you might take that $1 million and let that truck in, but you've just sold out your children. You've just sold out your country. And your child might become a victim. That's how God works. God is now going to make your child that you're like, oh, I'm going to do this for my kid. I'm going to take this money. It's just one shipment. I'll just turn my head, let this cocaine come in. It's okay. I'm going to buy a home. God's funny like that because now he's going to turn your kid into a cocaine addict. He's going to turn your nephews, your brother, someone you love, is now going to be destroyed by what you brought in. Your country is going to be destroyed by what you let in. Let me tell you something. That bag of $1 million, that $1 million bag is not worth it. You might think you're saving yourself 10, 15 years of your life. I'm doing this for my family, for my kids. You just sold them out. That's it. Oh, well, if I don't do it, someone else will. Stop thinking like that. You need to start looking at anyone who brings this crap into your country is a traitor, a terrorist, a criminal. They need to go to jail. Okay? So, anyways, that story is just to come back now to show you government corruption at the highest. You can never, the only way you're going to get justice on the RCMP and the courts in Canada is if there is a revolution that overthrows them like the Americans did in the late 1700s, 230, 240 years ago, when the Americans rebelled against the British, overthrew the British monarchy, and established the United States of America. That is the only way you can free Canada. That is the only way you're ever going to get justice against the Canadian crown. Okay? The Prime Minister is not the leader of Canada. The Prime Minister is a puppet slave role. The true ruler of Canada is a position called the Governor General. There's the Governor General, the Registrar General, the Judge Advocate General. These are crown-appointed positions, and the Governor General is the most powerful position in the country. Canadians don't even know that. Okay? The Governor General, if we elect a party and a Prime Minister that the Crown doesn't like, the Sovereign doesn't like, the Governor General who commands the Canadian military, that's why they hold the rank of General, Governor General, it's a military appointment, they can dissolve Parliament. They can say, nope, we don't like that, Parliament's dissolved, try again. Until you vote in someone we approve of, we can just keep dissolving your government. The people have no power, okay? You are subjects to the Crown, okay? And Americans, people in the US, you need to get your shit together. You need to recognize what you truly have. We, the people, that Constitution, okay, and it's built on morality. It's built on men who say no to letting drugs in their country. Men who have the strength to turn down that $1 million cash. Okay? It's meant for men who can actually be armed and not kill each other. The Constitution was written and designed for a highly moral people. And if you lose your morality, which comes from God and your fear of God and believing in God, your country is going to be taken from you. That's what Deuteronomy 28 says. That's what the Bible promises you. Okay, and our next video is actually about that. Okay, we're going to talk about that. And anyway, so I just thought I'd explain to you, what's going on with Uncle Alfred in Germany, why it's so important that we are allowed to ask questions, that we base things off evidence and not on testimony. People are liars. Mankind has always lived in a state of delusion. Look at us today. We look back even 100 years ago. I'm a Christian, but I think most of Christianity is built on delusion. I don't think people have, been reading the Bible properly. I think it's been misinterpreted. It's been poorly translated. And people believe in an insane version of Christianity. It doesn't matter what era you go back to. The pagan Greeks, the pagan Romans, the pagan Egyptians. Take your pick. Go back to the Salem witch trials. People are crazy. There's never been an era in all of human history where the masses are not under a delusion, where everything they believe in is a lie. And in 1,000 years from now, or 500 years from now, or 200 years from now, people are going to look back at our era and go, can you believe these people believed in that stuff? Can you believe these people thought this was true? This was their worldview? Just like we look back at people and go, can you believe people used to believe in this? Or like bloodletting, they used to believe that draining your blood was good for you. Or using lead or asbestos, using poisons. And now we know they're wrong. But before we didn't. And now we look back at those people. And we're the same. So don't think like when time goes on, people aren't going to look at us and go, oh man, these people were retarded. Of course we were retarded. So, Chance. Yeah, I lost my Labrador. Guys, we need to become a moral people. We need to repent for our sins. And again, guys, I'm attacked here and blamed for things that happened when I was a kid. The American pilots who bombed this country, NATO, the people who made the decision, I'm paying for those crimes living here. Do you know what I mean? You pay for the sins of your fathers. You pay for the sins of your country. So we got to be very careful what we allow our country to do, what we allow our politicians to do. So anyways, it's that's it. It's just, it comes down to Alfred was arrested. His crime is questioning events. Nothing is based on evidence. It's all based on liars or testimony that could very well be a lie. We don't know. We have to investigate. And you don't want to live in a world without free speech. But we're also a very immoral people right now. And for me, it's just God's wrath is upon us. And right now, the internet is full of anti-Christians, people who hate Christianity, and they're all Westerners. That's the thing. That's the craziest thing, is our own destruction is coming from our own people. The guys I'm fighting on the internet are all Americans, bent on destroying Christianity, bent on destroying the Bible. And they know, for me, when I listen to them speak and I watch their videos and stuff, then they're powered by academia. They've got scholars in Yale and Harvard behind them, all these pseudo scholars with their books, and they're all united in the destruction of Christianity. That is their main thing. We need to destroy Christianity, and it does not matter. They will take any and every angle possible. Oh, Paul was a myth. Paul never existed. Let's run with that. Oh, Moses never existed. It's all a lie. Oh, actually, Paul did exist, but he was actually a Jewish agent, and Christianity is a Jewish psyop. Oh, wait, actually, no, it was the Flavians. The Romans created it, to pacify the Jews. It doesn't matter. These guys don't have a view. They throw 50 views out. They throw everything, every argument, they don't care. They don't have a view. They shill like 100 different pseudo-scholars that all have different views. And you don't know what their views are. Their entire channels, all their channels are built upon telling you what you believe in is wrong. You're stupid if you believe in this. But they don't tell you their beliefs. Do you know how hard it is to fight a guy when his view isn't his view is his whole everything he's built has nothing to do with promoting what he thinks is true or what he believes in or what he thinks is good for the country. His entire life's work is built on telling you you're an idiot and you're wrong, while giving you nothing to replace your view with. He's just going to destroy you till you have nothing and leave you with nothing to fill the void. And you're now going to go and run around and fall for whatever trick. Anyways. And so, anyways, the thing is like, I'm just kind of exhausted. I don't want to complain too much, but it is, it's hard to fight these guys. And I kind of feel like the prophet Jeremiah. And the prophet Jeremiah had to go against his own people. He had to betray, he was a priest, he was a Levite, and had to turn against his own people. And was put in jail, was beaten, had to, flee and run. And went through hell for speaking the truth. Condemned the Jews for becoming pagans, polytheists. Warned them about the destruction that was coming. And in Lamentations, at the end of chapter 1, the prophet Jeremiah gives probably the scariest prayer you can utter. And I can relate to it a lot. Jeremiah doesn't blame Satan or Lucifer. He doesn't blame the Jews for his problems. He looks at God and acknowledges that God is the one who afflicted him. That God is the one with supreme power. That God allowed these terrible things to happen to him. And does Jeremiah curse God? I'm not just telling you this, I'm telling myself this. I need to hear this probably more than you guys need to hear this. Jeremiah didn't curse God. He looked inside himself and acknowledged his sins. He understood that he was a sinner and that he, in a sense, deserved everything God was afflicting onto him through these people. These wicked, terrible people who are imprisoning people for telling the truth, calling them out on their corruption, who are serving foreigners, betraying their own people. And Jeremiah was punished and tortured for calling them out. But Jeremiah acknowledged that God is the one who is in control. God afflicted him. God let these people, God gave these people the power to do this to him. The Jews didn't censor me and destroy my channel. They did it through God. God is the one who allowed them to do it. God gave them the power to do it, and they did it. God is also giving them the chance to repent for their sins, to do the right thing, and they won't. Instead, they afflict people who call them out. And what God is doing is he is setting the stage up for their destruction. Jeremiah says, "Do unto them as you have done unto me." Whoa. That is heavy. He acknowledges, God, everything you did to me, God, due to my enemies, the ones who afflicted me, through you. And let me tell you something. Like, I've been through a lot. I haven't been through the worst. I haven't had bombs drop on me. You know, it's not like I'm these people in Iraq or Afghanistan or Palestine. But I've been through some stuff. And I'm going to tell you something, that if God were to dish out 10% of my life onto these bozos in power, they'd just kill themselves. They couldn't handle it. There's no way they could handle a fraction of what they dish out on other people. They couldn't handle 1% of Iraq or Palestine or Ukraine. These people making these decisions, sending us to the grinders, to the butchers, decimating our people, they could never tolerate 1% of what they inflict on others. So, anyways, that's it. I hope I made my point. I don't know if that made sense to any of you guys. The point here is, look, we're all struggling. Life is hard, and I'm telling this more to myself than probably you guys, but we have to persevere. And I don't think things are going to get better. I think we have to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. And I don't think we can save ourselves. This problem is not geopolitical. This problem is spiritual. This problem has to do with judging an immoral people. And the Bible says God shall send a famine in the land. Not a famine of food, a famine of his word, so that the people will be lost. God says in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, for this cause God shall send them strong delusions, that they shall believe a lie, that they all might be damned, because they rejected the truth. And understand what that means. These people rejected the truth. They rejected the truth, meaning they knew the truth, they had it, and they chose to ignore it. And that's going to be the hardest part about your walk in life, is when you know the person you're debating actually knows you're right. The guy you're debating knows the truth. He is being paid to lie. He is a false accuser. He is what the word devil, diablos, actually means. He is a liar who knows the truth. So, anyways, we're going to end there. I just wanted to thank everybody again for supporting me, believing in me, and all your messages, all your encouragement, your support, donations. You guys really saved my life. I'm gonna get these videos up, and that's it. And if I don't upload or talk to you guys after, I hope you guys have a happy and Merry Christmas. And oh my God, let's see what happens. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I hope you guys are well.